I think Donald Trump has to be like the biggest supporter of atheist rights in America, right?
Hi, welcome back to Atheist Edge. I'm Jim, and today, as you can see, if you have been living under a rock for the last 2 years, you don't know who this is. This is Holy Kool-Aid, Thomas Westbrook. Yeah!
I also make appearances under rocks.
All right, I got 30 minutes with you. Time is short. This is the holidays. Thomas is under the gun and he's in travel mode, so we're gonna make this happen. I thank you so much for coming. Well, that leads me to my first question. I don't even have to look at my notes. Why the hell are you here? Why are you going out of your way, of your own volition, to help out the little YouTubers?
Well, I mean, anyone who, first of all, I don't think that I still think of myself as a little YouTuber, but, but I don't know. I mean, like, I had people shout out my channel to help it grow. I had people do collaborations with me, and I've always believed in, give it back, pay it forward, give it to others, and you never know. Like, I believe in the bigger cause. It's not just about, me getting big and, trampling others to get there. It's like, no, I want to see the entire planet of humans falling in love with science and falling in love with critical thinking and rationality and trying to build new cool things. That's why I pay taxes that go to schools, so that not because I have kids who are in school, but because maybe that kid is going to grow up to become a doctor, or is going to grow up to save me from cancer or something like that. They might invent something cool that then I get to use and I'm the beneficiary of. Like, the human race does not just exist in a bubble. So I create something, I help someone else out, I push these ideas forward. I think that all of humanity benefits from it.
I just thought of this. Bill Nye is known for two things.
Saving the world?
Yes, you read my mind. Well, that's the main one. But he's also got, what, a bachelor's degree in engineering? What is he most known for?
The bachelor's degree in engineering.
No, he's not saving the world through the bachelor's degree in engineering.
Yeah.
He got the message out there. He's a communicator. His education level is irrelevant.
Well, and how many people has he inspired?
That was what he's going to be known for.
And if Neil deGrasse Tyson watches this, he's going to hate me for saying it, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is not the greatest physicist in the world. But he's an amazing educator, so he doesn't have to be, because he inspires millions of people to then become the greatest physicists in the world.
Yep.
Just, like Carl Sagan came along and inspired millions of people to go and, how many people right now are astronauts, or, working with, in astrophysics, or in biology, or any of these fields, because some educator came along and instilled in them this curiosity that led them to want to know more, and then to discover more, and then to share those discoveries with the human race.
Right. Carl Sagan, great example, but he did have quite a bit more in the research and development.
For sure.
Than someone like Neil deGrasse or Bill Nye.
Yeah, but
exactly.
even all of Carl Sagan's discoveries, standing alone, they're minuscule compared to 7 billion people and what they're capable of. Yep. And we need those people who are able to inspire that curiosity in other people.
Right. Okay, let's get to the questions. Okay. All right, so what advice would you give to someone, up-and-comers, that are just starting out and they want to maintain anonymity and they want to do this as safely as possible to avoid any type of retribution?
I mean, so first of all, if you're able to, be public about it, and you're able to be a public figure and use your real name, in my case, I don't really worry about my safety or my life. I know that there's bloggers in Bangladesh who would get hacked to pieces if they used their real name. I know that there are people who'd be thrown out and ostracized by their family. If that's the case, be careful. But there are steps that you can take. Create a Gmail account and a YouTube account that build a channel off of a fake name. Do that. Don't assign it with your real identity. If you care about just getting these ideas out there and sharing it with the world, you don't even have to use your voice. You can make some cool visuals and some quotes and things and have them come on screen and have, just kind of master that art. You can be a blogger and write on, Atheist Republic or Patheos or any number of you can create your own blog and set it up. There's a plethora of different ways that you can get involved in this movement. Or even if you're not able to maybe come up with these ideas yourself, or maybe you have a hard time writing this stuff down, or you have no technical experience, and if you're not able to learn it, well, go out, do something that you excel in, and then support other channels financially. If you don't want that to be tracked to your bank account, well, then do it through something like a Visa gift card or PayPal, or send checks in the mail or something. Find ways that you can do it that, however many walls you need to put in place to protect your anonymity, there are ways that you can do that.
You are a full-time atheist now, right? Do you feel like you're pulled in 5 different directions at a time? And
only 5?
Right. How much physical time does it take, say a 10-minute animated video? How much physical time out of your life does that take, from script writing to the animation to editing? Yeah.
Anywhere from a day to a month.
For one 10-minute video?
It depends on the video. I've had videos that I've put together where I take, if there's a topic that I know inside and out, or maybe I'm just like ranting about something, and there's something that really ticks me off, and I just want to like get it out on paper, and maybe like I have some just like moment where something kind of that I've been thinking about for weeks, and all of a sudden I'm just able to write it down and it flows. Mm-hmm. If I write out something like that, and then I just go and I quickly record it, and then I put it into my animation suite, and I have a character that's not really, there's not a lot of visuals, it's not super heavy in changing scenes and stuff, I can do something like that pretty quickly. But if I have something like, I did a video on near-death experiences.
Yep, I saw that one.
That one took me forever because I did not want to get anything wrong. And so I went and I researched not just all of the, I read so many different research papers on near-death experiences and what we know about them. But I also went and I sought out people who are maybe mind-body dualists and who say that, yeah. It's a sign that, your spirit lives on after death. I'm like, well, what arguments are they putting forward? How are they going to react to my video when I say, here's what we know and here's what we don't know? How are they going to come at it and try to tear it down? Because I want to make my position as bulletproof as possible. Because in the free marketplace of ideas, when you're really trying to get at the truth, then you hedge against stuff like that. And so that one, it wasn't just animation heavy. It wasn't just, lots of visuals and stuff. It wasn't just lots of audio edits. It had all of that in it too, but so much of that was the research leading up to it and writing the script in a way that was as bulletproof as I could.
Your older friends that knew you before you were big time, before you were a public figure, like friends from high school, and I heard you already talk about how your family has reacted to your notoriety. So I'm just talking about like your older friends. Do they bust your balls now, or they give you a hard time for being kind of a superstar, or how's your relationship with your older friends changed?
Honestly, most of them don't even know that it exists.
Really?
They like a couple of them. One of my best friends, he's always like, "Oh, dude, that's so cool! You got to meet Lawrence Krauss or something." But most of the time, it's just like, "Hey, you're doing a good job. Like you're killing it." But for the rest of them, they're looking at people on YouTube who have millions of subscribers, and they're looking at A-list celebrities and stuff, and they might be like, "Oh, hey, that's really cool. I'm happy. Yeah, your stuff's taken off. You're actually kind of legit." But I don't. They just see me as me.
You're only 2 years in. Where do you see yourself later? Have you surpassed all your wildest expectations already? And if so, what new goals have you set for yourself?
I'm nowhere near surpassing my wildest expectations. I really want to see this become a full-fledged self-sustaining business with multiple employees that's actually a media company. I'd like to start a tech startup. I'd like to reimagine the way that we educate and inspire kids, and there's so many different directions I want to take this, but it's just getting started.
Are you on other platforms besides YouTube?
I mean, I'm on every single major social media platform, and I've been slowly pushing my stuff to like Facebook as well.
Yeah, your videos too.
My videos.
Yep, yep. Were you on VidMe? So, like, for example,
I was.
yeah,
Not
so
anymore.
Yeah, so was I. And so it just shit the bed, right? So, do you see any other YouTube type platforms? We know what YouTube does with the adpocalypse, and the algorithm is all jacked. Do you see another platform competing with it eventually and maybe surpassing it? Something that's a even freer marketplace of ideas for us?
Right now, Facebook seems to be going in that direction. It's nowhere near, like, they're trying to compete with YouTube. And it's much easier to share it with new people if you do it through Facebook. There's different social media marketing tricks you can use, even without spending lots and lots of money on ads. But even that, like, it's in its infancy stages. So like right now, because Facebook is pushing for new creator suites and new tools to help creators out and monetization options, that's just now getting started. It's in beta. Not even everyone has access to it. I don't even have access. I've applied and gotten turned down because I'm too small. Like, it's
what?
They're right now they're looking for like people with hundreds of thousands or millions of subs to be the first in, and then they'll slowly start opening.
So how are you putting your stuff on Facebook? It's just linking a YouTube video?
Well, no, when I'll actually upload
it's
the
embedded
videos
into
to
Facebook.
Facebook, but I can't monetize them. I don't have, like, you know how YouTube has Content ID where it'll flag stuff if it's like a, copyrighted material or something. Facebook is kind of experimenting with that, but only certain people can apply right now. Or I applied, but like I got turned down. They said try again in a little bit. And so, but
we're screwed.
What I don't like about Facebook is I watch my YouTube videos on double speed, and Facebook doesn't have that option.
What was it?
I watch when I'm watching YouTube, I watch it on double speed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too impatient.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook doesn't have that option,
That
so I feel like I'm watching it in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
But, well,
yep.
Other than that, I mean, there's a couple little platforms. One of the biggest ones is Twitch, but that's just gaming right now is the main thing.
Is it just gaming? What about this Discord? All the great debate community, my friend Steve McRae and Richard Bushy and Robert Rowe. Everyone's doing Discord now. What's that all about? Are you using that?
I don't know that Discord has really taken off on video, is it? Like,
Twitch is basically the biggest thing for Discord right now.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a professional gamer.
Does anybody do BitChute?
What is it?
BitChute?
No.
It's an alternative video to YouTube.
Okay. All right.
See, what YouTube right now monopolizes on is they have the audience. Almost every Android phone has YouTube. Most people who have iPhones download YouTube. There are billions of people right now who watch YouTube videos. And any of these new platforms that spring up, they're trying to pull that audience away from a platform that pretty much already has a monopoly. Facebook can compete because they have, over, what are they pushing, 2 billion users now or something like that.
Really?
So Facebook can compete. That's the only one that I know that really has a bit of an edge there. But yeah, they've been screwing their content creators left and right with adpocalypse, with demonetization.
How has that affected you?
I think November. No, it was before November. I've had a couple months where like I didn't even get a cent from revenue. Like I didn't break the threshold, just because like my videos are getting demonetized, the ad rates are dropping, they're not promoting it as much as they used to.
So you rely 100% on your Patreon and your donation sites.
I mean, I have a shop now too for like merchandise,
yeah.
but most of it comes from Patreon.
So we just have to hope that Facebook is our messiah then. You don't see any alternatives.
No, I'm not hoping that at all. Like I'm branching out and I'm getting involved in like email marketing, RSS feeds for podcasts, growing it through alternative areas and avenues, because once you have it used to be that people would sit back and they'd let the content come to them, and they'd subscribe to RSS feeds and they would have subscribed to their podcast and get emails and stuff. But then like a lot of that stuff started getting spammed, and people were like, "Oh, well, I'll navigate to Facebook." But then Facebook's like, "Well, you have to pay to play. You have to spend thousands of dollars in ads to blast it out to everyone." Well, there's ways that you can kind of increase engagement on posts without spending loads of money.
And a lot of time.
But there's also a lot of things that you have to do to set up multiple social media platforms, grow audiences, try all these different social media marketing tricks. Like, you can have an amazing show, and if you don't market it, no one's going to find it. But if you have all these, kind of little trickles coming in from all these other platforms, and you've set it up in such a way, and you're cross-posting different stuff, you're constantly giving quality content back to your audience in the form of memes, blog posts, videos, podcasts, stuff like that, as well as sharing other people's content, and getting them to also retweet some of your stuff if they stumble across it and like it. Then stuff grows.
Yeah.
It grows on Reddit. It grows on Instagram. It grows on Facebook. And it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time and figuring out which avenues are the biggest sources.
Being in the right place at the right. What do you think about all the bigger, some of these huge, the Goliath YouTube channels that are not even talking about atheism anymore, and they've gone completely social identity politics? Do you want to bring them back, or do you feel like this is a vacuum for the little guys to kind of come up and fill the void?
Honestly, at this point, like, their core audience is completely different. So if you look at the core audience of some of these bigger channels, they're pulling in a lot of people all across the political spectrum, all across the religious spectrum, and they've made it about free speech and anti-PC culture, and at least not with all of them, but with a lot of the bigger ones. So for me, like, I come in, I'm like, my niche is very narrow. I promote science and curiosity, and I talk about religion and atheism, and I try to fight for human rights. I mean, I guess that's not that narrow of a niche, but I don't really go into politics a whole lot unless it steps on the toes of one of those core issues that I'm fighting for. So
you have strong opinions.
I do.
It's not your focus.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I have a degree in international studies with a political science concentration. I have a degree in Russian. Like, these are areas I can talk about, but it's not something that, like, if someone starts talking about some political issue, I'm like, yeah, these are big issues, but that's not the focus of my channel right now. And I don't want, I want to be true to my core audience and what they're subscribing for, and I don't want to just be completely all over the map.
That lends to a certain degree of intellectual honesty, because and I know that if you went that route, especially with your background and your expertise, you would double your audience and you would double your revenue right off the bat. So the fact that you're avoiding that and sticking with what you started with and what needs to be spoken about, yes?
I also know that if I were to dive into the drama and start calling out other channels and making it about them and about the infighting and about the personalities and making response videos, my channel would take off, because people feel inherently this psychological need to defend themselves, to speak up, and then when you're
you would
small,
get hate watchers and lover watchers.
It's like any attention is good positive attention because they're talking about you. They're getting your channel name out there and stuff. And I've had channels that have made those videos about me, and most of the time I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I'm not so sensitive about, my positions aren't that sensitive. I research them, I study them. Most of the arguments I'm hearing are straw men of what I'm saying anyways. But even when someone makes a legitimate case, I might respond to it in, the comments of my video. I might pin it to the top and be like, you know what, I got this wrong, I screwed up, and post it to the top. But I'm not sitting here losing sleep over someone made a response video to me. And most of the time they're some tiny channel, someone's sitting in their car, on some grainy little, video, and they're sitting there being like, I saw this holy Kool-Aid video, and I'm going to show you why it's all crap, because Jesus. And I'm like, that's not worth my time. And I don't want to create a channel that's just about drama and infighting and people who are famous for being famous. And, like, it's bullshit. I'm like, I want to look at the bigger picture, the bigger ideas, to make people actually curious about the world, and not just about, oh, what did so-and-so say to his Instagram followers? What did so-and-so tweet out? I could care less about that stuff. That's such small potatoes.
Thomas, I'm not sucking you off here, but you are on a very short list of people that are a sole influence for this channel, and I say that as this channel is in a huge part in a huge part molded after your type of channel, the building bridges, the finding common ground, just like you were saying. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, but I get believers on here, you know, all different stripes, and
They come in stripes now.
well, what is it? Yeah, if you hold a striped stick up to goats, they'll breed zebras. You didn't know? Is that in the Bible? Anyway,
Science.
all right. Yeah, you've been a huge influence on us. You're like on, I can count on this many fingers who's influenced us. And when we started this from day one, we were thinking,
It's better than day one.
yeah, what direction are we going to go? Are
You
we
guys
going to
are-
follow
you
this
guys are-
tide of drama and shitlord posting? Because TJ and I lean really towards, we're not right wing by any stretch,
No.
but we lean towards a certain way. Courtney leans another way, and we could make this, this could be a completely different channel. And we chose not to do that. We're choosing to go a certain direction, and it's in large part because of you. Not to suck you off, but yeah. Anyway.
I appreciate that. That does mean a lot, but I do think that there's a problem right now where identity politics. Should we?
Oh, is that a fist bump? Oh, sorry. He's been waiting for the fist bump.
We've
Sorry.
been waiting for that for all the whole broadcast.
Should I?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, just
Yeah,
to
go.
respond, I do think identity politics right now has so driven the political discourse into discord. And it's made it to where you can't even have a conversation with someone about one issue without them assuming your position on every single other stance.
Thank
It should
you.
not be that if I know your stance on abortion, that I subsequently know your stance on gun control. Those are two completely different positions.
Because you don't.
It's
And-
funny you would mention those two.
You should be able
Because
to,
my responses would surprise you.
you should be able to take every single individual position and be like, what does the science say about this? What does the data say about this? Let's objectively examine this position and be able to come to completely different conclusions based off of what the evidence and the science says about it. Now, I realize that some people inherently, psychologically, are more geared towards, valuing safety and security over, individual liberty and freedom or something like that. There are certain biases that we have through nature or nurture that lead us in different positions to be more conservative or be more liberal. I realize that there are certain social values that religion does tend to dictate. And that, if you tend to be more conservative, you're more likely to be more religious, you're more likely to believe in those positions. But you should be able to examine them individually. And that's what I'm trying to push for. I think that anytime that you say, this is dogma, this is what you have to believe, and a religion oftentimes encourages that way of thinking. But I think I have met religious people who are more objective, and whether you're religious or atheist, I don't care. Just actually
Be reasonable.
be
Just
reasonable about stuff. Like, use your critical faculties to come to a position that makes sense and know why you believe in it, and be curious enough to look at the other perspective objectively.
There's a new YouTuber, right? He doesn't even know it yet. Look in the camera and tell him how much money is it going to take to get him a channel and get him out there, get his voice out there, and what kind of equipment does he need to start off?
Honestly, if all you need is a laptop. If you want to record audio, I mean, hell, if you do it right, there's tricks and techniques that you can even use the built-in mic on your laptop and make it sound okay. You just get super close, don't speak directly into it, speak at a little bit of an angle, adjust your levels just right. Like, there's tricks that you can do, like YouTube, how to make your audio sound better. Go into Audacity, which is a free program, and play around with it. If you can use free video editing software like iMovie if you have a Mac, or I don't know what on Windows anymore. I think Windows Movie Maker was the last time I used free software. But I mean, there's stuff out there that you can get at no cost other than having a computer that you can start a channel. It's free to open a YouTube account. It's free to start posting videos. You'll even start getting a little bit of ad revenue as you get views. Learn,
If you're lucky.
practice, play around with it. You know, if you don't have to have a lot, is what I'm saying. Now, for what I do, yeah, I'm spending a lot more money because I'm paying for royalty-free video footage suites. I'm paying for animation suites. I'm, investing in, a domain name and hosting my website and, all different kinds of tools and stuff, and I'm trying to market it. And yeah, so it can be as cheap or as expensive as you make it, but get started and start playing around with it. You don't have to have much.
Our channel is growing faster than average. We, hopefully, with you being on the channel, we might hit 1,000 subs here real quick, and that's going to be within 1 year. We're 9 months old right now. Hopefully, I think with you being on, you're going to put us over that level. And you know what happens, all the benefits that come with 1,000 subs. So that's where we're at. We were shooting for 1,000 subs in the first year. You hit 23,000 subs in the first 6 months. Your first video is higher quality than most people's regular videos. How in the fuck did you do that?
I cheated.
Tell us how.
So one of the things I did was, I had enough. I guess I had enough money to buy like a green screen to drape over the back, but it was one of those ones that I think it was like $100 on Amazon, and I got like the stand and the green screen and a couple of lights with like umbrella things on them, and
that's exactly what we got.
basically what you guys had. And I just played around with it. So I was like, how far should I sit from it? Where should I put the backlighting? And I had spent about 5 or more years studying the ins and outs of video editing. My audio production was shit. I didn't know anything about audio. I know way more now than I ever did then. But I got a mic, and I got fairly close to it, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just recorded it. And my audio doesn't sound amazing, but I think the first video I have is like I have this janky ass little headset that has like this little mic sticking up, and it's like this $10 weird little it wasn't even a USB one. It had like the separate mic, and I was just using it to get a little bit of feedback to hear what I sounded like. And I'm sitting there talking, and I think I cranked my levels too high, and it didn't sound that great. But I put music over it, so it kind of, you couldn't hear the clipping as much. And I had a couple of visuals. I knew how to add a couple pictures, and I just made some cuts at the right time. So whenever I'd make a mistake, I'd stop and I'd say it again, and then I'd stop and I'd say it again until I got the perfect take. I don't edit as much now as I used to. I've gotten better at talking on the fly, but I would make so many cuts, and then in order to hide the cuts, I'd either just do a crossfade, and it would just kind of blur together if I wasn't moving too much. Like if it's hard to crossfade from like here to here. But if I couldn't do that and make it look decent, then I would just put some B-roll footage over it, and I'd take like a little video of something else during the cut and make it smooth.
Good. That's good. You said it takes like up to a month to get a good 10-minute video out, but you put out.
No, not anymore. Like
you put out one every Saturday.
If I put out a really intense video that takes a lot of research,
how are you getting one? How are you so regular?
10 years of getting fast.
So some don't take you a month.
No.
Or you have a lot in the can that you're putting out later.
I'm always on a deadline.
Do you have any in backlog right now?
Like 4 in the morning trying to get a video done.
How many do you keep in backlog in case like?
I don't have any in backlog right now.
So if you get deathly ill right now,
I'm screwed.
I got 6 in backlog right now, but they're shit videos. But
I have.
One's on Islam, and I don't want to get firebombed just yet.
I have about maybe. I have probably over 100 script ideas. I have maybe 10 or so scripts that I've kind of like played with, but that aren't complete. I have a couple audio recordings that are done, that I've done like interviews with people. But as far as videos that are done, that are ready to be released, I'm always behind. It's a constant battle to stay afloat.
Wow. You only get one choice. 1 million subs right now, sold out lecture halls from now until you die, or TV and basic cable syndication. Which one do you choose?
Oof. See, knowing how media works, if you get any one of those, it's so easy to get the other three.
Right, but in my scenario, you're only going to get one and the rest are going to fall off.
Honestly, I would probably go with media syndication just because of the reach. It's and the legitimacy that it brings because if you just say I'm a YouTuber, it's really really hard to um, get noticed by that. I mean, people will know who you are, and it's easier to get it out there. But YouTube can change their algorithm just like that, and your host. But media platforms, I mean, they're picked up all over the place. And if you have a show that comes along, like let's say I get like Bill Maher and I'm on like HBO or
I'm not
something.
even thinking that big. I'm thinking like Kyle Kalinske and Secular Talk on Free Speech TV.
Okay.
Would you still do it?
Between something like that and I mean they're with Young Turks, aren't they? Kyle Kalinske.
Is Young Turks still syndicated? Or are they just all YouTube now? I don't even know. But they got like what 5 million subs.
I mean, I guess it would depend on the reach because if they're on shows that are getting 1 million views or something, yeah, of course I'd go with that. The problem with YouTube,
it's a steadier paycheck.
The problem with YouTube right now is, yeah, you might kind of have control over that audience to some extent, but all it takes is, YouTube, if a particular video they find controversial, they cut your reach, and so you might get 1/5 of the number of views that you should, and
Just
then
like that.
yeah, and a lot of if you even look at channels like Philip DeFranco has over 5 million subs, but he's
Does
not
he still,
getting
after the drama?
well, he's not getting 5 million views on each video because a lot of that, you might have over the course of a 10-year YouTube career, you might have tons and tons of people who sub in the beginning who then get tired or watch other stuff and YouTube stops recommending those videos to them and they occasionally will stumble across one. Yeah. But you only have, audience churn is so fast with YouTube.
Big turnover rate.
And
they unclick the bell so they don't get the notifications. And if you're controversial, like our channels, like any channel like this, sometimes you get, what is it called? Shadow banned. Yeah. So it won't even come up in their feed unless they have direct notifications, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another problem.
Whereas with media, it's a little different. Like if they can just turn on the TV and you're on, then you can always make your channel or your show more interesting, and it'll always be blasted out to people, televisions or whatever internet services they're watching it through. As far as lecture halls, I mean, even a packed out lecture hall, you're never going to break like 50,000 if it's like a massive stadium.
Jeez, I was thinking 500, dude.
If it's
what are you selling at Madison Square Garden? No, I'm going for like a university lecture hall, maybe 1,000 or less.
Ambition, man, you gotta have ambition.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm thinking like pack out like the Dallas Cowboys stadium or something.
Like AT&T
Stadium. I mean, heck, if Billy Graham can do it.
Wow, that's ambition.
But what I'm getting at though is
Sam Harris. What does he sell out? That's maybe 2,000.
Maybe a few thousand.
Yeah.
Toronto Arena and stuff like that. Like I don't know.
Still, it's regular gigs, and he gets to choose where he goes.
If you think about it though, Sam Harris, everyone within
He's a best-selling author though too. I mean,
we know who he is.
Yeah.
People who read books might know who he is, but everyone watches TV. Not everyone reads books. Not everyone's an atheist. Like if you're an actual think how much bigger someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's on Cosmos, is to someone like Sam Harris, who even though he's a New York Times best-selling author, he got a huge percent of his audience because he went on shows like Bill Maher. And because
TV's doing this and the internet's doing this.
That's true, but TV shows are still on the internet, and they still have millions of dollars in advertising revenue behind them.
It's solid and it's more secure.
It's not like one is overtaking the other.
They're going to continue on for a while, but honestly, YouTube right now with all the changes that they're making, 5 years from now, YouTube could be doing this.
Dude, we need to find a different platform. I mean, we need a competitor with YouTube because it's getting ridiculous. This is a great segue. What TV series are you binging on Netflix right now?
Oof. I haven't had a lot of time to binge lately. I've been trying to catch up with Stranger Things.
Are you done with season 2 yet?
I'm in the middle of season 2. But
no spoilers then. No spoilers.
Game of Thrones, for sure. Nice. Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, is it worth starting? I've never seen a single. I've never seen a single episode.
Come on, man.
I hear there's like the professor. Is he like an out atheist in the show?
Yeah.
He is. Okay.
He has said some things that make you would. Yeah. You think he's an atheist.
Rick and Morty. I'm gonna write that down then. Hey, Thomas Westbrook said it.
He tells his niece to give up the belief in God because it's only gonna
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Rip
I
the
saw the
Band-Aid
meme.
off.
I saw the meme.
So
yeah.
I actually had a live Facebook poll where I did like a 4-hour live video, and you can like use a like or a heart to vote for one or the other, and it's like a live reaction. And I did one between, there was a fairly recent episode, this isn't really a spoiler, but like there's an episode where the professor in Rick and Morty turns himself into a pickle. And then he becomes the most badass pickle ever, like this warrior pickle or whatever. And he's Pickle Rick. And so I did a poll where I took Jesus Toast versus Pickle Rick. Fight to the death, who would win?
First off, it's an obscure reference. Who's gonna? How many people
you
voted
would
for
be,
that?
You would be amazed.
There's
I got
a lot of fans,
hundreds and hundreds of reactions. It was shared like I think a couple hundred times, and Pickle Rick destroyed Jesus Toast. And people were posting like in the
I don't know
comment
the
section.
Jesus Toast reference.
Well,
Is that another Rick and Morty?
No, Jesus Toast.
Oh,
was
no, the regular.
the
Yeah,
Jesus that appeared on the
Okay,
toast,
yeah.
and like
Okay.
it's kind of like the cheese stick Jesus that you know.
Or the dog's asshole that looks like Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Ready? It's the question I ask every guest I have on, and I tailor it depending on whether you're a believer or non-believer. Okay, so if irrefutable evidence for the existence of Yahweh became available right now, everyone on earth knows it. There's no more arguing about it. The debate is over. Yahweh exists exactly as he appears in both testaments. Yep.
Does he appear consistently in both testaments?
Good point. There are no contradictions. Yahweh exists. Oh, let's just start off with Yahweh exists. We know he exists exactly like he appears in the Bible. First off, would you want to know that information if you had the power to like tune out? I've actually had a guest say, no, I'd rather not know. So first off, would you want to know? Second off, if you do want to know, how's it going to change your life? How is it going to, when you walk out that front door, how is it going to change your life? How are you going to do your life differently?
I mean, if I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know, well, absolutely, I would want to know. Like, I would want to, you know, like, how did this all come about? Like, if
What's
you
true
know,
and
what's true, what's not, and I think how it would change it is I would still want to know how the universe works. I'd still want to learn all this, you know, science.
For this scenario, he doesn't give you any information. You're still going to be left with those questions. So,
it would lend credibility to like parapsychology and like all these, you know, supernatural investigations and stuff. I'd kind of want to start looking into that stuff more, and I would re-examine it. I'd try to get grants drafted for, you know, exploring that stuff a little bit more. Like I'd still want to learn. Like
You keep
and
your channel.
And I would
Did you
share
worship
with
that name?
I'd share with everyone how I know beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Would
And
you
I think
worship
if
that
it's legitimate evidence that people would be able to see that, you know, it would change the way we look at the world. Would I worship it?
Yeah, would you worship
I mean, if it's... See, I mean, this is hard because if it's the God of the Old Testament, who's this insane, batshit crazy, jealous, psychopath, megalomaniac, then that would be very difficult to worship something like that. It would be kind of a resentful worshiping, and I think it would be able to tell that I'm insincere. If it's the God of the New Testament, which is, you know, more like loving and forgiving, I would
obey your masters, even the cruel ones.
I would still have some hesitations. But it's hard to separate those two because it looks like God has like BPD or something, and he's going off the deep end, and you know, it'd be kind of like one of those things where, you know, God, he's so desperate for our affection and our praise and our, you know, is so almost petty in a way that, like, you know, the Bible says God's a jealous God. So it's like,
even with, need to be jealous.
Yeah, it would be difficult for me because, you know, I've been in an abusive relationship in the past, and you know, on the one hand, you know, you see all the amazing things about this God, and you're like, wow, that would be like so cool, I'd want to be with you and stuff, and then it's kind of this, you know, God's turning around and like
showing you this other face,
showing the side of him that is abusive and hurtful and stuff, but then he's like, but I'm amazing, worship me, like I need you, I love you, come back.
Even knowing the reality of eternal hell, though.
But I mean, then it's like,
wouldn't that affect your decision?
Wouldn't you be like morally more on the high ground, knowing that you rejected
Yeah, but see, that's
the,
not.
the injustice of what he's proposing, if that is the case.
If that's the case, then I would worship it, but purely out of fear.
Right.
It wouldn't be out of love. It wouldn't be
Doesn't
out of
matter,
sincerity.
but
It would
you
just
would.
be like, I'm terrified of this. And in that case, God
It
is
doesn't
the
matter,
villain.
fear or not fear, you'd still do it.
To save my ass from like
Yeah,
eternal
that's what
horrible
I'm getting at.
suffering, then yeah, I probably would.
Wouldn't be worship.
Yeah,
But-
same,
But that wouldn't be worship. That
would it be? Yeah, would it be worship?
That wouldn't even be
Be
worship,
fear.
would it? It would be
It'd be slavery.
slavery, mental slavery.
Wow, that's pretty deep. This video is going to go out at a different time than Courtney's and TJ's. So, re-say all your plugs that you said before, and any other new ones, and any upcoming events that you have in the new year, 2018.
Awesome. You can find all my work at holykoolaid.com. I have a bunch of resources there where you can find atheist podcasts, get plugged in with an atheist community, a local community. There's merchandise. It takes you to shop.holykoolaid.com so you can wear your atheism proudly.
Can you get that?
Show shirt.
This shirt, no, because
That looks like a unique, one of a kind.
I can't actually profit off of the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And because that's trademarked.
Because that's the shit right there. would buy
I
that.
can get away with saying don't drink the Kool-Aid because it's a phrase.
Yeah,
and it's
Kool-Aid's a
part
trademarked
of-
item. What's up with?
Yeah,
I just thought of that.
I'm in a different market. I'm not selling beverages.
No, yeah.
You've already thought this through.
Oh yeah.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
And
Yeah.
honestly, if Kool-Aid were to get pissed off and come after me, like I would basically give them two scenarios. I'd say, look, you have a bigger legal team, but I have a platform, and this can go very, very poorly
Badly for
for your
you.
PR if you're like, hey, we're beating down the little guy, picking on people for their religious beliefs, or I can spin it around and I can plug Kool-Aid and be like, you know what? Don't drink the religious Kool-Aid. Try this Kool-Aid, and I can give
You
you
could
guys
turn it
so
into a
much
marketing-
good publicity that like
Yeah,
that's
Bonanza
Yeah.
for both of you. It'd be a win-win.
So it's kind of a trade-off. Like if they come to me with that scenario and they're like cease and desist, I'll be like,
That's what I'm
Hold
thinking
up.
with
Yeah,
Exit.
but I
Wait
can
a
make this
second.
good for you.
Yeah,
No,
like-
that's
yeah.
the more likely outcome is a cease and desist order.
yeah.
Would you'd have to
In which
Well,
case
it's-
I'd reply and
that
be like,
still is nothing negative. against
best case
it.
scenario
You
is
just have
that
to stop
you get to
saying
market
it.
with them. That
well, if
That
they
would be-
take me to court, then I can talk it out in mediation and basically,
Say, okay, I'll stop saying that.
well, hopefully they'll see the light.
well during the litigation he would bring up the Jonestown massacre and 900 dead, and then
Which was
then it would
technically-
get really ugly for them.
Which is technically Flavor Aid.
It wasn't Kool-Aid,
But-
that's right. But they don't have.
I
We can always work it
use
in.
this as either an amazing PR stunt or you're picking on the little guy. So
Yeah.
They could just decide that they don't want to play that game and hurl lawyers at him. We don't want to play. We don't
No,
want
I
to
think
But-
I think there'd be way
Kool-Aid.
more people that would say, "Hey, this is wrong," and tip. And
I think it could
typify
tip in
I'm
his favor.
plugged in enough
Yeah,
with people who
that's what I'm
have
saying.
hundreds of thousands of subscribers and bloggers and
Yes.
stuff like that. That this is a story that if Kool-Aid were to try to shut
It
me
would be
down,
bad for them.
it would be a very viral story that is extremely negative press.
Yeah.
And you saw what Hugo and Jake on their litigation,
Yeah.
and that would be, I think, in retrospect, in comparison, minor to what would happen with Kool-Aid versus you.
I don't know. That
You
was
would get a
pretty
GoFundMe
big-
that would but your GoFundMe based on compared to that would be astronomically higher.
It would at least be a funny story. Like I think a story like that
Yeah.
could get picked up by mainstream media.
Yep,
If it's like
totally would.
Kool-Aid suing an
Yeah.
atheist for using,
Like, yeah.
like for saying
Kool-Aid,
don't drink the
yeah,
Kool-Aid.
sues nobody for like something that they
Yeah.
like religiously believe in.
And no
who's
point-
the bad guy there, right?
and they
Like,
did have to-
Kool-Aid is the bad guy for doing that.
But I like strange fact about me. I actually enjoy a cup of cold Kool-Aid. Like
I like
the
Kool-Aid,
beverage.
man. Yeah.
It's sugar, it's bug
Yeah.
juice.
Shit.
We were military, so they give us that really
Yes.
sugary bug juice,
Yes.
and they add salt to it to keep our electrolytes when we're in the desert. And then it's so like we smell that stuff, and it's a different thing for us military
It's
guys.
a thing that
Gatorade, same deal.
If you
But
have to drink the Kool-Aid, drink actual Kool-Aid, and
Actual
not
Kool-Aid.
not Dogma.
yeah.
and at no point they'll have to go back through all 70 of your videos and see if at any point he said, "Oh yeah," and
I
broke
mean,
through
that
a
would
wall
be
or
too
something.
hard.
So then your viewership would go up because everyone.
Everybody would have to watch it just to find out if that was what happened.
Somewhere in one of my videos.
Thomas, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yep, I hope to do it again. I know you're going to be back through this area again. I have this feeling. So don't be a stranger.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. You've been watching Atheist Edge.
So I hear that Mike Pence is a huge supporter of gay rights, right?
Y'all just want to sin. Y'all just want to sin.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here. Only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.